Hello, Mr. Nihar, Mr. Venkatesan, Mr. Arav, and Mr. Vishi. I've introduced you all to the audience, to the wonderful audience who is eager to learn about fintech here. And let's start with this panel discussion on one of the most hot debated topics amongst the millennials, the fintech for millennials, by the millennials, for the millennials. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me just kick off. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Very excited to welcome you to this session.
It's 12 o'clock.
Okay. Just let me know once I can start.
Tavishi, sorry. Please proceed. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Very excited to welcome you to the session on FinTech for Millennials. This is being hosted by IITB, ESL, and presented by Mumbai FinTech Hub. As you may be knowing already, Mumbai FinTech Hub, or also known as MFH, is glad to collaborate with IITB for the E-Summit as the government partner. To give you a brief background, MFH has been established by the government of Maharashtra to enable and operationalize the state's FinTech policy. Now, a very quick intro of the panel here for everyone. I'm Tavishi Singh, the moderator for the session. I'm part of the EY FinTech and Digital Transformation team, and we work very closely with MFH on various initiatives to build a cross-border FinTech corridor and to nurture the state's FinTech ecosystem and put them and India on a global pedestal. Moving on to our esteemed panelists for the session, we have today with us Mr. Nihar Boba, who's the co-founder at Wisely. Wisely is building India's first platform dedicated to financial wellness for emerging India. Their intelligent in digital banking experience helps customers take charge of their everyday finances and reach their financial goals. We are also joined by Venkatesan Anandraj, who's the founder and CEO of Vizi. Vizi is an intelligent card management app with a mission to help credit card adoption by removing barriers while choosing or using a credit card. And of course, we are also joined with Mr. Arav Bhatia, who's the co-founder at Pocketly, which is a micro-lending app for college students that provides them with credit whenever they need it instantly. So thank you all for joining us today. Very excited for this conversation and to learn from you and your experience in this very interesting space. So to begin with, there is, of course, a lot of debate around the poor spending habits and the financial management that we may see sometimes in millennials and their behavior associated with the aspirational spending. So maybe, Nihar, if we could start with you. Where do you think India's millennials stand today in terms of money management, and how is Wisely helping them manage their finances better?
Yep. So that's a good question. I think let's split it into two parts, right? Let's talk about what makes up money management to begin with, and then we can talk about how Wisely is trying to do it differently or in its own nuanced and unique way. I think one thing that we've always hypothesized at Wisely, and I think it's something that most would agree with, but many fail to realize, is that money management, irrespective of whether you're young, old, middle-aged, or whoever you are, money management is far more of a psychological and behavioral problem than it is an actual economic one. Right? I think the economics of money management ultimately are very similar across the spectrum, right? I mean, you save more, you spend less, you make money. But what really prevents you from doing that is a psychological barrier, right? And I think that's ultimately down to tons of contexts that are unique to every individual. I don't think any one app or any one framework can really solve that for any one person, but I think there are hacks that you can do or that you can utilize to really figure out what works for you, right? And I think at Wisely, that's something we've tried to do. And I think the manner in which we've tried to approach this problem at Wisely is, well, it really comes from a framework that we've liked to look at internally. And I think the best way to articulate that is when you really look at the fintech or the financial services industry in 4 phases, right? So I think you have the incumbents who are, existing banks, existing NBFCs, existing, age-old FSIs and so on, who had products that served a particular need. And I think over the last, 3 to 5 years, we've seen a lot of companies do a lot of good work in sort of making transactions a lot easier, faster, cheaper. We've seen a lot of companies improve and increase the access to products, right? So you have basically two stages there. You have information disruption and you have access disruption or transaction disruption, right? So you now have companies that give you access to 5,000 different mutual funds. You have websites that let you compare and contrast, 100 different credit cards. So that in and of itself was a disruption. But I think when we really try and approach that psychological problem, I think what's needed is what I like to call a cognitive disruption, right? How do you sort of simplify? How do you bring people's minds to ease when they actually look at those 5,000 different options? Or maybe you need to ask yourself as a company, do they really need 5,000 different options when they're only going to choose one, right? And I think that's really what we're trying to do differently at Wisely. What we've done is we've tried to gamify it. I think just like many companies have in their own right. We have something called a financial wellness score. So it's not just a sort of vague hypothetical term that we use in our tagline. We actually have a financial wellness score that is not really a credit score. It actually utilizes saving behavior, saving potential, spending behavior, cash flow potential, and so on. And we're able to actually give our customers a score. We have very simple and very limited recommendations to help them improve that score. So that entire feedback loop of demystifying the process, reducing the choice complexity, easing that cognitive load for every action they take, and then being able to give them a score and applaud them along the way. I think that's really the approach that we've taken, and that's what we like to call internally that cognitive disruption, which we believe is going to be the real game changer for the next couple of years.
Thanks, Neha. Thanks. I think you touched upon something very interesting and very core to this entire discussion, right? That it's actually around the psychology of it than just, the target segment. And this whole, topic is essentially around trying to understand the whole target segment in terms of how they behave towards certain things and how can we then cater to those those needs. And if I have to choose and take a cue from that, and Venkatesan, also move on to you, this whole psychological aspect and the behavioral aspect, it's of course being seen widely, right? The whole trend of consumerism being driven by the culture of instant gratification. This of course is probably one of the key areas as to why we are moving, and millennials specifically are also now moving towards credit card. It would be great to hear how Vizi is helping and aiding to this entire journey, and how the whole credit card journey is in terms of finding the right credit card for your customers, helping them with the corresponding services, making sure that they have the right benefits attached to it. So would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, great. And before I start, thanks Neha for giving the heads up. That's in fact a psychological input on the industry as such. And yeah, so talking about the credit cards industry, and the millennials in India constitute about 400 million people, which is around 40 crores, which is quite higher than the population of US. And let's just do an actual analogy. US has around 100 crore cards with around 37 crore people. And if you look at the size of millennials, it's already 40 crores. And let's just look at what this 40 crore people can unleash for India from the credit card space. Why we are having a very high correlation between the millennials and the credit cards is because credit cards unfolds the zero moments of truth for most millennials. Credit card in fact happens to be the first credit instrument which the customer or any millennial for that reason would eventually go into. And the markets are actually already showing some signs of movement towards a rapid credit cards growth, because a credit card will actually be precursed by a prepaid card during the teenage life cycle. And we already have companies like FanPay, we have companies like Red Carpet, which is innovating in this space, which is already giving a boom to the credit cards market in India. But if you look at how the Indians are using the credit cards today, it's mostly in a way not very appropriate. Why we say that is because two of three credit card users actually don't yield the benefit out of a credit card. Because if you look at the credit card users penetration in India, so only 33% of them constitute transactors who are basically using credit card as a convenience tool or using credit card as a tool to build their credit profile. The whopping 67% of the population of credit card users are either revolvers or passive users. This also means the category is actually filled with illusions of getting into debt fear, and that has to be eliminated, and that has to start with the first credit card the customer is actually getting. So if you look at what we are doing at Vizi is a card issuance innovation platform come card management app, because honestly, we feel the era of cold calls for selling credit cards has to come to an end, because everybody hates it. You hate it, I hate it. My father, who's 50 plus years, also hates it. So if you have to look at the change agent for this innovation, right, it has to come from the issuance, and that's where we started. We are building our own tech stacks with deep-rooted partnerships with banks to help people pick the right credit card, because picking the right credit card for the millennial goes a long way in defining the experience as to what is the yield you can expect out of a credit card. And that's precisely what we're helping our customers, with right now. We have around 1 million customers who are, using our platform, and every day we make around 3,000 recommendations on which credit cards to buy. And this has been a whooping factor in the credit cards industry, because this is also sending a very strong vibe into the market, saying customers are now ready to buy a credit card, which was eventually sold for more than a decade now. People are looking to buy credit cards now just because of the e-commerce wave, followed by the Geo wave, and then followed by the UPI lever. We have taken a step ahead of US, because in US it happened that people had credit cards and they eventually went into prepaid cards. And because now we have an innovative layer called UPI in between, India as a market has completely skipped this prepaid cards layer. From credit card, we have directly gone to UPI. But then this is a surge which will eventually settle for credit cards, because UPI is going to help you on convenience, but it's not going to help you with rewards on your spending. And it's not going to help the merchants attract more customers. It's only going to help the customer at the point of sale to pay with ease. And that's where, we strongly believe, our worldview is the industry is again going to settle back for credit cards. And, in India by 2024, we'll have a whooping to 20 crore customers, who are having credit cards and, flaunting credit cards on all the purchases. And that's where we think the millennials also are having a very high aspiration towards picking the right credit card. And apart from getting a credit card, they're also more focused on getting the right credit card, because now it's a conscious choice. It's not sold to them, they bought it.
Lovely, lovely. Absolutely. I think that's bang on, Venkatesan. And I think if I may just have a follow-on question to that, I think you touched upon a very important point when it comes to credit card, which is around the fear, right? I mean, we would love to have that extra limit that we would want to use for our aspirational, spending, especially in this segment. But at the same time, how do we repay? I mean, how have you been able to really sell this, and how have you been able to really acquire these customers who, if you think about it, technically may not have the repayment ability, right? They are, after all, still not really in that zone where they have jobs and necessarily being able to pay back whatever aspirational spending they may have done in the moment. So how do you cater to this fear? How have you managed?
Okay, so just adding a psychological element to it, credit has also rechristened itself to a different form, right? So 5 years before, if I'm flaunting my credit card for my purchases, I'll be actually seen as a person who's not having money and using my credit card for powering my purchases. But today, credit cards are a lifestyle statement. You flaunt your credit card to show how much you have arrived in your life, right? You have a mix, you fall into a different category, and all these things are already in place. And this aspiration for credit cards, more than that, I think there is an aspiration for credit, because people in general have higher aspirations today. Everybody, irrespective of the segment in which they fall into, if he's a family man, he wants to provide better education to his children. He's taking a loan for his kids' education. If he's a teenager, he's wanting, he's wanting to get a better bike, better phone. And this aspiration is going to be endless. And, that is what is pushing these guys to work harder as well. And if you exactly correlate this aspiration to credit availability, that's where credit has become an indispensable part of our life. When I grew up, my father never took credit all his life. He only lived with what he had. But I started my life with a credit card, right? So that's where I think, there is a psychological turnaround, in the way the credit is being looked at. Today, if you're saying you're not looking at credit as an instrument to move up the ladder, or look at next phase of your life, you'll eventually be seen as a loser in the market. Because, there's an option available where, you've been eventually given a credit. And, how you use that credit, are you taking a balanced approach towards taking this credit as, all that would matter. And for that, how we address is basically we have a real-time instrument, because credit score perennially has been a lag indicator. Your credit score will tell you your score has now dropped down, but it's already dropped to 600, which means you're no more credit worthy. So we are building a lead indicator where, your credit card usage can clearly tell you how you use your credit card today, how is going to impact your credit worthiness or your credit score 3 months down the line. So that customer takes concrete actions today so that the score doesn't drop in future. So that's where, we have completely built a lead indicator, which is card score, which is powering the Visi app, and which is also the most used feature in the app, where the customers are clearly in control of their credit cards. And that aspiration is here to stay, and that will only grow up. And we should be happy that, we are at this point in time living in an economy which is very aspirational, because that is what is going to, unleash the growth for India in the next 2 decades.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Venkatesan. Arav, would love to now hear your thoughts. I mean, clearly psychological and forms like an underlying behavior when it comes to this entire target segment. So I would also like to touch upon specifically with you as well, considering Gen Z is also a very important target segment for you. Since you provide short-term microloans to the college student community specifically in mind. So for a country like India, where college students heavily rely on the markets, I mean, we are very, very dependable on our family when it comes to like being a community. It often comes as a pocket money, right? So how are you able to allure them to your product, and how exactly is your product able to offer them something that the existing market probably doesn't? So any initial thoughts on that?
Sure. I mean, see, we come from privileged backgrounds, which is why we always have a strong belief that college students, their income is the pocket money that they earn. Before starting this product, that is also what I felt. But with data, today we have over 2.5 lakh people on a platform. With data, we are able to realize that 60 to 70% people on a platform, they have some sort of income that they have generated for themselves. Now, these could be guys working in tier 3, tier 4 cities. These could be guys who are freelancing, who are doing part-time jobs, interning somewhere, doing their own projects. We've had people come onto our platform who have just started their own shop in a remote tier 3, tier 4 city, have started their own pharmacy, have started their own kirana shop, and they needed financing for that, like just for the supplies. And because they are so young, they are 21, 22, they wouldn't have anyone who would provide them credit. But because our algorithm is made in such a way that we are able to basically decide if are you credit worthy or not, even though you don't have any previous credit history, which is why we are able to lend to them. So most of our users are not people who actually are dependent on pocket money, but 70% of them actually have their income of their own, and which is a good thing, I believe. Like, that is changing in India. Already followed in the foreign markets, wherein students are left alone. They're so told that at 16, 17, go do part-time jobs that will help them in development, and they get to know about credit. Apart from this, the whole ecosystem awareness has been built because our competitors have been doing an amazing job for the past 5 or 6 years. There's M-Pocket, there's SlicePay. These guys having over 5-10 million users right now, they have been able to create awareness along the fact that credit, it's not exactly bad if you're using it for the right purposes. And as Venkatesan was saying, that there are other products like FamPay and Slice and Red Carpet coming up who do offer credit cards. Now, I disagree with him on one point, which is what he said, that with credit cards, you're able to get rewards. And with all the whole UPI infrastructure that came in, the credit card phase was shifted out. What we are trying to also build over here is that on UPI right now, what we are trying to build, that you can take credit on UPI, and whenever you do repay, you will get rewards. So you're benefiting along 2-3 lines. First of all, you're getting a credit card like experience when you are in college. You're getting rewards. You're getting credit for all your anything that you want to do like aspirationally. And your credit score is also being built. This is a guy who's 20, 21-year-old who probably will be dependent his whole life on credit. Will take a house loan, will take a car loan. If he could take microloans worth 2,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees, pay just 2-3% interest on them, and build a credit score beforehand, that will help him a lot when he actually graduates. So I guess those are the benefits of using Pocketly, and we haven't had any time problem of less users coming onto a platform, because a lot of college students actually are now aspirational, actually have some sort of income, which is why they have a habit of credit and they want to become a part of this credit ecosystem.
Lovely. I think that's a great insight, Arav. Thanks for that. Nihar, would like to touch upon something that you said earlier around gamification, right? I think that's so important right now. I mean, not just for this target segment, but in general, I think that's the way to go. We have so many fantasy leagues that are going on, and everyone, even like my parents would like to see if, oh, on cricket, what do I make my team today? So I just wanted to see, when it comes to, I mean, this is a very important element to make people aware in terms of the financial management. You're learning to manage your finances as well as be enticed by the whole gamification aspect of it. So how are you really leveraging it? Could you give us some examples, and also any unique patterns that you may have observed while seeing the millennials work out their personal finances in this particular segment? Yeah.
That's a good question. So before we get into the gamification aspect, just 1 or 2 points of context, right? And I think this applies not only for us, but anybody who's working in that whole PFM space, right? I think there's one challenge that is consistent across every customer that is just about entering the workforce, earning a professional salary for the first time in their life, or any salary for that matter in their life. And I think one of that question that seems to be on every one of those customers' minds is, where do I begin? Right? I think there's this newfound salary, there's this newfound money in the account, but the question really is, where do I begin? What do I do with it? My father told me something, my brother told me something, my uncle told me something else, and then my friends are doing something else altogether. Right? And that's something that is a challenging question to answer, especially if you're not financially competent and you don't have that confidence financially. So that's one. And I think the second thing is, with personal finance or finance in general, and many other aspects of your life, be it health or anything which is not really a pressing need, it's far easier to do nothing and enjoy the status quo than it is to do something and then have short-term variations in what you're already used to, right? So ultimately, when we think about answering that question, where do I begin, right? You're basically leading the customer, you need to lead the customer down a path that they would rather not go down, right? And really the only way to do that in our minds at Wisely is to gamify it. And then we get into what gamification even means in our context, right? I think there's this misunderstanding that gamification means giving rewards. I don't necessarily subscribe to that definition of gamification. Instead, I think it's far more about using various game-like mechanics, right, to nudge people along, right? And there's a really great book about this called, there's a really great book about this called Nudge Theory. And I think that those are some of the learnings that we've tried to use, right? And just going back to what we do specifically, we have something called the Financial Wellness Score, right? So the first time any customer comes onto the Wisely application on Android, not iOS, on Android, we're very quickly assessing them based on a couple of questions that we ask them, a couple of data points that we utilize from their financial SMSs, so on and so forth. And we're actually giving them and prescribing them with a financial wellness score. In many ways, when you go and start a video game, you're also prescribed at a certain level. You're probably an amateur, semi-pro, or whatever, right? And you use that as a foundation or a basis to say, hey, this is where you are. This is where you could get to. So let's try and define steps to help you get there, right? And that's what we really do with our simple recommendations. Simple examples, somebody who joins the workforce, is earning a salary for the first time, we give them, for argument's sake, let's say we give them a financial wellness score of 100, right? To get to 500, they really need to have an emergency savings plan, which is around 3x of their salary. They need to set a budget that is appropriate to their salary and their spending habits, and they need to maintain that emergency plan and maintain that spending behavior to stay within the budget. And by doing that, we're going to increase that financial wellness score for them. So that consistent loop of assessment to recommendations to showing improvement based on our earlier assessment, and then getting that to be a recurring cycle along the way with consistent applause and just rewards here and there that you interject to just make someone feel good. I think that's really how we've broken that entire journey down, and that's what's working for us. Gamification can take 100 different forms for 100 different companies, but that's really what's worked for us. We've given them an assessment, we've given them a goal to get to, and we've given them steps to get there.
Lovely. I think that's great. I think the fact that you're aiding them in the entire value chain, I think really adds to it, right? You're not just helping them just initiate the journey, but also taking them to the very end and staying there with them. Venkatesan, you mentioned earlier around building the, aiding these students or the millennials with the, part of being the credit card ecosystem. Now, of course, this is something that you have helped them enter. Now, what are your recommendations, for example, for our viewers in terms of some of the practices or the, of managing and sustaining their credit card behavior? How do they make sure that their credit score that they have gotten now, thanks to you in this case, how do they maintain it well? What are some of the recommendations that you?
Okay, credit cards, I would not call it complicated, but just a mere fact that it has a lot of variables attached to it makes it sound complex to the users. Say, for example, if you're taking a loan, as long as you're paying your EMI on time without any bounces, right, you're a good customer. Whereas, when it comes to a credit card, there are like close to 64 plus variables. You have your utilization, you have your on-time payment, and you have your amount paid, and then you have the limit to your income correlation, and then they're actually also looking at your spend habits with respect to where you're spending, whether it's like spent on the right things or spent on the wrong things or spent on the average things. So a lot of variables goes into, and the customer on the other side is completely staying in a black box, because the customer doesn't actually understand the business model associated with the credit card, and that's where I think many of the credit card customers actually cross the line, which has eventually led to us to the situation of 2 and 3 credit card users are actually not benefiting from it. So if we have to look at recommendations for a credit card, right? So basically, it starts with the complete perspective itself, as to how people are looking at credit cards. Credit cards doesn't have to be looked at as a credit contingency instrument, because most of the people look at credit card as a patch-up credit tool, which comes in handy, and it's also immediately available in case if some spends are not going as per the plan, or they need some emergency contingency funds. Because they are doing this, they've also not planned to repay this. So, and I will also attribute this to the planning of the financial wellness, which Nihar also spoke about. Because if that's in place, this will not happen. But because that's not in place, 66% of the credit card users are actually not using it well. And that's where what we are trying to do is we are actually trying to break this into steps. We are trying to talk about utilization separately to the customer, so that at the moment credit utilization on his card is going above 40%. We are actually trying to tell the customer, saying you've already reached that line, please stay here, don't go beyond this. And also there are customers, because India has innovative ways of issuing credit cards. There are people with a monthly income of 50 to 75,000 rupees, but if you put all the cards together and sum up the limits, it'll be whooping 10 lakh. What people don't understand is they take it for granted that this is the money that's not available to you. This is the money that is available to you if you have the capability to repay. Because otherwise, if you look at the interest rates is 3x of that of any other credit instruments that's available in the market. While we eventually converge towards a lower APR like all developed economies did, but that's going to take time. And if it's going to take 3 to 4 years, customers are still going to pay a whooping 45% credit cards. And this is not actually getting communicated. In most cases, the credit card users, once when they start using the card, right, it's all about instrument which is readily available in the hands of the customers for them to use at ease, and that is giving them a very poor visibility on how they should actually be spending on their cards. And that's exactly what we try to do at VC with respect to giving a real-time dashboard on how they should be using a card. And this score is very dynamic for your everyday card usage, right? This score keeps changing, and it also gives you alerts on how you should actually be using a card. And that's where on the rules we are trying to change, so that this first card will eventually ensure, if it's used right, will ensure the credit profile of the customer is going to build into a strong horizon, and in ways going forward, he'll be able to avail credit at a much lower and better rate than others, because he has proved his mettle and he has proved his credit worthiness, and that's what we are trying to build as a whole. So broad usage behaviors, don't utilize it for more than 40%, and don't look at it as a credit contingency instrument. Always pay your bills on time. Try to look at credit card as a tool to build your credit profile, not as a tool to quench your aspirations with respect to gadgets or super bikes or so. because that we have seen most of 95% of our customers eventually landing in a very high card debt of people borrowing those things.
Yeah, I think I'll take the cue from here for Arav as well. Arav, what are some of the behavioral patterns that you may have seen in your customer base that you have, and what is some of the services that you may be providing, similar to maybe something on the lines of the dashboard, to make sure that the customers that you already have do end up repaying the loan, because after all, you've helped them have a credit score now, you've helped them give a loan at probably at a time when nobody else was, but you also need to get the money back. So how do you make this entire process easy for them, and what are some of the behavioral segments that you may have seen or in your customer base?
Sure. I mean, with our users, like there's a wellness score built in, I think, Neha's app. We also have a Pocketly internal credit score built in our app. What that does is essentially you start off with a credit score of 500, and it can go up to 900, similarly to other credit bureaus. And while you might be new to credit, so 50% of our user base is new to credit. They haven't ever taken credit before. So when they are building up their credit, as they're taking loans, they should be knowing what happens when you repay a loan and how you repay it. So someone who's repaying 2 days late, there will be not a substantial increase to your credit score, or maybe not any increase at all. And that is guided essentially, has a similar behavior in our Pocketly internal credit score. Apart from that, we also have partial payments. So just like credit card, what we do is that, let's say you've taken a loan on 1st January, you have a EMI on 1st February. And because we have a bullet loan product, which means that it's only a 1-month loan product. So on 1st February, you have to pay back the loan amount. We offer you that hey, you don't have the money, you just pay 25% of the principal and the interest, and the rest of the money will be refinanced for you for the next month, which is what happens with credit card. So the user is able to know what actually happens when they graduate, and when they shift to bigger banks or maybe credit card products, what actually happens, and they do not get into the whole credit trap which usually happens, debt trap. Also, we have limited our maximum loan size to 10,000 rupees, and we do not want to increase that, even though a lot of users have more income than that, because that again would lead them to a trap. When they're too ambitious, they might want to go for a bike, camera, maybe they want for themselves, some party. And I have a particular belief, 10,000 rupees, or roughly around $250 monthly, is more than enough for the average Indian college student for their monthly expenses, more than enough, even if they have an income. So that is how we make sure with this credit score, with the partial payments, and by limiting our loan size, that students are actually able to pay back. And 90% of our students pay back without us even intimating them, without us reminding them that, hey, your due date is coming. 90% of the users have started paying back. The rest 10% we actually do let them know through notification and other stuff, and then they eventually pay back within the next 30 days. So yeah, that is the basic behavior we've seen. Also, there has been a drastic increase in students among the awareness about actual CIBIL and credit bureau products. 5 years back, a lot of students didn't know that CIBIL does exist there. What is CIBIL? How is it created? And I hope that going forward, this increases even further, and they actually want to build a good credit score. And yeah, hopefully that's how I see this industry going.
Lovely. I think we're a little short of, in fact, we are beyond our time now. So I would not be able to ask my last question that I had in mind. But just to summarize, I think there are some key 2-3 underlying themes that came out of our entire discussion. One is that, of course, this is more around the psychology of our customers that we're looking at than just being around the financial aspect of it. The other bit is around, I think, one key theme that I've seen in all your wonderful products that you have curated for your target segment is that you're not just helping them enter into an ecosystem, but you're also helping them grow and sustain in that ecosystem, right? There's a lot of learning aspect that you have been able to provide to your customers, which is great to know. And I really hope that our audience over here who were part of this discussion were able to gain something out of it. I think I had a lovely time with speaking with you all. Hope you all enjoyed. I wish we had more time, but unfortunately we don't. So thank you so much for spending time with us on a Saturday, and hope to be in touch, and lovely speaking to you all. Thank you.
Likewise, thank you.
Thank you.
Same here, Abhishek.